Going live. Hello. Welcome to my channel. Okay, we are once again going to be talking about disaster movies. And in fact, we were just now going over our lists, and it seems we have a lot. There is a good possibility we might not get through it today, and we might even have a part 4, which is crazy and unprecedented. But once we do it once, I'm guessing we'll probably do it again. But also, I wanted to do a part 4 just because Thrash cannot make it today. It is his mother's birthday. It's Mama Thrash's birthday. So everybody in the chat
Mama.
say happy birthday, Mama Thrash. And let's see, what else have I got to say? Not a whole lot, honestly. I'm kind of spaced out. So let's go ahead and go around. We'll say hi. I mean, everybody knows who you are, but we're going to do it anyway. So go ahead, Harold.
Hey, I'm Harold the Hatter. I have a YouTube channel, Harold the Hatter. I also have a TikTok channel where you can watch some of my streams, and also I'm on Twitch. And then I'm on all of the social medias, IG, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, yada, yada, yada.
He's the one who's on social media a lot.
Yeah, I'm not on Kick. I
refuse
to get on Kick. No, I just have a lot of self-loathing, and so
enough for TikTok, but not enough for Kick. I get it.
You go there, right.
That's your limit.
No, that's too young for me. So, anyways,
well, Kick streamers are all degenerates anyway.
And I'm also co-sharing this stream on my Twitch and the Facebook page.
Yeah, don't worry. He has my permission. I will not give him a copyright dispute.
And okay. I'm Damien, D-Man, home designer and builder, and I don't have all the social medias and and channels and things of that nature. So I'm just here to talk about movies. And
awesome.
Hopefully Mr. Pickles will join us. He's now half the man he used to be.
Yeah, Daryl's already asking.
Yeah. And where's Mr. Pickles? He's in the other room. I can go grab him if you want. So
I know. No.
So
I know Bassett left me too. She was like,
you did the cutting off.
Yeah, I did the deed. He's half the man he used to be.
Oh, so, yeah. Poor guy.
He's actually doing pretty well though. Yeah.
All things considered.
Fine. Yeah. He didn't phase him. He came home, started bouncing off walls like nothing happened. It was like, okay.
It makes me think of that Alice in Chains song.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
I'm half the man I used to be.
Did you Did you have the fake ones put in, like the what are they called, nudicles? Yeah.
No. He can just live the rest of his life with a shriveled empty sack, and he'll be happy with that. Like I said, I don't even think he noticed. He just
okay. Yeah.
He came down off of the anesthesia and was like, "Hey."
I had one cat who was very mad at me for about 3 months, and then finally forgave me.
No, not mad at all. Still a little cuddle bug, and some behaviors have changed. Some of his naughtier behaviors have gone away. So
to be expected.
Yes,
yeah.
Which is good. So
yeah. Okay, well, let's say hi to some people in chat. We got Vim Vanderstraten. Sorry. He's here, and he watched Godzilla -1, which is now streaming on Netflix worldwide as of yesterday. So if you haven't seen it, you should see it. If there's only one Godzilla movie you should see, it's this one. Like, I think it might even be better than the original Godzilla, and that's saying something. Indy is here. He's on his phone, but he's still here. Let's see. And as I said earlier, Daryl is here. Good morning, Daryl.
Good morrow.
Sean Ennis is here. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yes.
Well done, Indy. That's beautiful.
And my other channel member, John, is also here. Ciarn. I have no idea how you're supposed to say that. Let's see, who else? Oh, Lance is here. Hello, Lance. You'll get to tell us your picks in a minute. That seems to be it so far. but as usual, oh wait,
Lance.
no, there's a whole bunch more. Danny is here. Hello, Danny. Greetings.
Oh, Danny boy.
Apparently, Lance saw Furiosa, which I have not seen yet, so I have no opinion.
Ooh.
I just think Anya
Ooh.
Taylor-Joy looks awesome.
Yeah.
Harold is here, of course. Tracy! Hello, Tracy. It is a name with no pronunciation. I see. And yeah, for people who are just now coming in who missed it, Thrash will not be here. It's his mother's birthday, and his mother is more important than us, which we do not take any issue with.
No problem with that at all.
Right.
Yes. My mother is more important than you guys as well. So yeah, we've gone like 6 minutes. I think it's a good time. Let's go ahead and get started. And this time I'm going to do it again. I'm going to start again. I didn't like not starting last time. So well, since John is here, I can tell this story. He and I went to the movie theater. This was early 2000s. No, wait, 1990s, because it was before I went to college. So it was around 96, 97, somewhere in there. He and I went to the movie theater in the middle of a thunderstorm. And I'll get to what the movie was in a minute. I have to build up to it. And we got tickets to see a movie that we knew very little about. We'd seen like the trailer or something. And I knew it was written and directed by a guy named David Coep, who also wrote Jurassic Park and a whole bunch of other movies that you're very familiar with. Trust me. And because it was a thunderstorm, the lady at the ticket counter told us, look, the power might go out and you might be, stuck in darkness in a movie theater, and that's not something that you should experience because it's kind of scary. And we're like, whatever. Like, we're Floridians. We don't care. But it added an extra layer of tension to this movie, which is called The Trigger Effect, which is also about like a worldwide power outage. It's like... So this movie about a power outage and about like society breaking down because of a massive power outage and what people do without power. On top of us thinking at any moment the movie theater could black out because of a power outage. There's kind of like a meta layer to it, especially since the very beginning of the movie shows you a movie theater and some guy like vacuuming the floor in a movie theater, and it's like following the plug and where the electricity is coming from and all that stuff. So yeah, that just made the experience unique. Especially since I'm pretty sure he and I were the only two people in the theater at the time, because for some reason nobody else remembers this movie and nobody else was interested in this movie. It's a great movie though. It's got Elizabeth Shue, I think, and Dermot Mulroney, and I can't remember who the third guy is. There's three guys. There's two guys and Elizabeth Shue.
Kyle MacLachlan.
Kyle MacLachlan, thank you. Wait, really? It's Kyle MacLachlan? Yeah, I guess it is. Shows you how long it's been since I watched it. It's also got Michael Rooker in a very important role, playing basically the same character he always plays, an angry redneck with a shotgun. The movie is kind of about gun control, which is fine. But it's also just about that societal breakdown and the breakdown of norms from something as simple as the power going out. It's very Monsters on Maple Street, if you know what I'm talking about, that Twilight Zone episode, which is kind of the same thing. The power goes out and society breaks down. I don't know. It's a really good movie. It's very tense. It does little things to like build the tension. Like they have a shotgun, which they use to defend themselves because there's looters and crazy stuff happening. But at one point, Elizabeth Shue's character, who doesn't like guns, actually throws it in the swimming pool. So this shotgun is wet, and a lot of the shells are wet, and they try to dry it off as best they can. So when you fire it, sometimes it fires and sometimes it doesn't. So it adds that extra layer of just randomness and tension to every scene, right? There's a lot of that in this movie. It's kind of like a case study in tension. And when the tension finally breaks at the climax, I'm not going to say how, it's really, really good. It really feels like you can breathe again. It's a good movie. It never explains where the power outage is, where it came from. It's not concerned about that. But I don't know. I love it. I think it's a really good movie, and I think more people should see it.
Sounds like a good one. I mean,
And yeah, the
'cause
power never went out. Yeah, the power never actually went out.
It has
Considering
been
the-
for. Oh,
go ahead,
Dave.
Scott.
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Considering the state of our power grid in this country and, you know, other parts of the world, it's, you know, sounds like a very plausible thing there. So yeah, I'd like to see
Texas
that
right
movie.
now.
So yeah, yeah. Tejas in there.
Texas
Their
right
messed up
now
grid.
has like 500,000, like over 500,000 people are without power.
Yep.
And
Yes,
so-
Vim, there was a scene in a pharmacy where he's stealing drugs in the pharmacy. Yeah, that is totally a scene. That's like the very beginning where things are really starting to break down. People are trying to get to the pharmacy to get the drugs that they need, and the pharmacist is at his wit's end trying to keep people at bay. And eventually, a gun comes out. You know, so like, yeah, that's how this movie plays out. It's very cool like that.
Yeah, like it has been forever since I've watched that movie, and it's got that. I think it's the one where it's got Elizabeth Shue against the door frame.
Yeah.
Like and doing her little like, I'm dressed very scantily, like I'm so pretty or whatever. I think that's
There's like a
from that
weird
movie.
love triangle going on. Like she's with Kyle
Yeah.
MacLachlan, but Dermot Mulroney comes in and he's all steamy, you know. So like it's like she wants to have a threesome the entire movie. Like she's acting like that's what she wants. And she's wearing there's like one scene in particular where she's wearing extremely revealing clothing and she's getting everybody drunk. And yeah, I really like that scene.
It like, you know, you like if you're of our generation, you've had a crush on her since
Yeah.
was it Adventures in Babysitting and stuff like
Adventures in
Yep,
Babysitting.
Yep.
that. Right. And
sure.
so like but it like I remember it being I don't remember much about it, but I do remember it being a fun and enjoyable. When you said it, I was like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. And then when I like was doing all the behind the scenes stuff that I do to look everything up, I was like, oh yes, this one. Like I don't remember much about it, but I do remember it being a good one. I'm trying to see if I can find a free place to watch it. And so
Sean Innes has a really good anecdote here. He says when he saw 6 Degrees of Separation, Will Smith was on a payphone outside of the theater in New York that I was watching the movie in. So the whole audience cheered and raised their hands. That's pretty cool. That's fun. I like that. People are talking about other movies. Ooh, The Tingler. It's not really a disaster movie, but I do like it. I have a video on it. Vincent Price on acid.
the name The Tingler like I've never seen it. I need to watch. I think I missed that review of yours, but like there's so many different ways that could go, that could be unexpected if you had no idea what you were looking in for. So
Right. And yeah, that's the line. You used to like my checkered past. Yeah. Good scene. Slasher Fred is here. Hello. Okay, so your turn, Harold.
okay, so I'm gonna bring up a movie. Oh, and just so that you know, Trigger Effect is 73%. I'm gonna try and find right now. I can only find it as rental or purchase, but I'm gonna try and find a way to find it free for everybody and put that in the link. So the movie that I'm gonna bring up is 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it is The Gray. It is a bunch of oil rig workers up in deep cold. I believe it's Alaska, which is funny because as I'm watching the movie to rewatch it and everything, there's a lot of advertisements for Alaska, and I was like, this movie isn't selling the wonders and glories of Alaska here. And so
shout out to
I don't
Alaska.
think
My brother and his family are there right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think this word means what you think it means. But no, like I don't think this movie means what you think it means. But like it's like it is a really, like, first off, it's Liam Neeson and his like
Wolf fight.
Taken era, right? Like of adventure hero and everything. But then and it's absolutely a disaster movie. They're on a plane. I'm not going to give it, like, I'm not giving any spoilers here, just plot points. They're flying out, but it's during a storm. The plane crashes and they have to survive, right? And it's there's a number of things that come into play, like altitude sickness, the freezing cold, and also the predatory wildlife. And so it's very much a man versus the elements type approach, right? And man versus surviving in the environment, difficult environments. But more so, I think it is like, at first I'm watching this and I'm like, this is a good disaster movie, adventure movie, whatever, what happens, blah, blah, survival movie. But more so, as it gets into it, I think it's a beautiful love letter to manhood. And it really gets into this. First off, I hate the use of the terminology of alpha, beta, omega, and sigma when it comes to human beings. That is an old 1970s concept that has, in the research, has been consistently unsupported. It is a falsehood. Like, it may work with like pack animals like wolves, kind of, not really. It's been even like shown to be false there, and not supported. But I hate this. But that concept does come into this movie a lot, which kind of like grates on my nerves, because I'm like, that's not how it actually is. But and it's too simplistic. Secondly, but it really does get into like the concept of, machismo, toxic manhood, and this beautiful moment of guys, like, there's this beautiful scene of guys sitting around the campfire, like nurturing one another, like trying to protect one another, trying to nurture one another for their survival, and also bonding through communication and like we often focus on man's non-language communication. Sorry, it's early in the morning for me. But like we also communicate, linguistically, and this refusal to this feeling of needing to not acknowledge our fear. Like, one person gets attacked, like, who's like, I don't ever get afraid, gets attacked, and then survives the attack and proceeds to like ferociously stab this dead animal. And to me, that's a perfect metaphor for how we handle our emotions, right? When we don't acknowledge our emotions, it turns towards anger. He is continuing to stab an already dead, animal, right? What is the purpose of this? What he's stabbing is his own fear and his shame around that, right? And you see this kind of behavior in movies. And what I'm hoping is that when you see that, you start to notice that they're expressing that anger is a secondary emotion, and they're expressing their other emotion, their fear, their aggressively through their anger. It's like it's more of an internal strife rather than what that animal actually feels. It's like their feelings of powerlessness, their feelings of victimhood, and trying to take the power back, right? Even though this animal's already dead. It's a beautiful, beautiful metaphor for that's shown, in this movie, for what actually happens in humanity. And so,
And
to me,
as an allegory for manhood, it also has a premature ending.
Oh.
Well stated. But yeah, so it's really a if you haven't seen it, it's a really, really good movie. I really like it. And
it is good. It's not what you would think by seeing seeing the previews and like listening to what the plot outline is, like it's not what you expect, like at all.
Mhm.
It's a completely different movie, and it's still a really good movie. I just remember when I saw it, I was confused. I'm like, am I watching the right movie here? I mean, yeah, that's Liam Neeson, but what's going on here? But yeah,
Well,
it is really good.
It's Liam Neeson being an action figure slash dramatic actor again,
Yeah,
right? Because he's
it's a nice
always
mix of
been a
his
dramatic
talents.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
All the way back
so
in
to me-
Crawl. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and so I just like he's a phenomenal actor.
Forgot
I
he
think
was in that for a
it
second.
utilizes him much better. Yeah, I know, right? I did too. So, anyways, I really liked it.
He did a great job
What
in
do y'all
Girl,
think?
to be fair. He was really
Yeah.
really good in Girl.
Good call, John. That scene in True Romance where Patricia Arquette empties the shotgun and then just like keeps trying to shoot even though it's empty. Yeah, very similar.
Yep.
Okay. Big D, your turn.
I'm gonna start with The Day After Tomorrow.
All right. Classic.
Because I like that movie, and you know it's far fetched. You know, nothing like that could ever actually happen that quickly. You know, that's just not possible. You know, thermodynamics, you know, kind of says no. So, but, you know, anyway, just the idea of it though, and some of the concepts brought up, you know, about the Atlantic current or the deep Atlantic current or whatever it's called, and you know, shutting down, which is actually we're starting to see that slowing now, and how important it is, and the cause for that. It's based in science and it's based in reality, but it's like
As much as a Roland Emmerich movie ever could
yeah,
be.
but then it completely goes like off the you know the deep end. It's like here's a concept that's true. Oh, we're just gonna jump down the rabbit hole on that one. You know, just go into the pit. So, but it's still a fun movie, and just you know the way it portrays you know the kids working together, and you know the whole scene in the library where
the library, I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
where the adults are all like, oh, you know, dismissing the kid, and you know, or the police officer dismissing the kid. No, we're just gonna go. We're gonna walk. You know, we're gonna go survive. And you know, he's like, well, no, my dad's a climatologist, and you'll die if you go out there. This isn't over, and just completely gets dismissed as not knowing what he's talking about. And then they all band together and they survive. You know. I love the scene in the library where they're like choosing which books to
burn for warmth.
It's like,
yeah.
Friedrich Nietzsche was one of the greatest minds of the we got a whole section on tax law down here we can burn. Come on. Anyway. Oh, it just, you know, and then the dad goes after them to save them.
Dennis
of course,
Quaid.
you know. Yeah, Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid. Yeah. Very good. I've always loved Dennis Quaid.
I love him in anything, even in terrible movies. He's great.
Yeah, he does a
Yeah.
good job. But you know, just good cast, fairly decent writing, good story overall, as far fetched as it is. But yeah, I've seen that movie
No, I mean,
probably
it's
half dozen, 8, maybe even 10 times. So you know,
it's Roland Emmerich doing what Roland Emmerich does best.
Mhm.
It is a popcorn disaster movie, but it's
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun, and I do like
Yeah.
it, and I watch it
Yeah.
all the time because it's one of my
Yeah.
wife's favorite movies.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I have no qualms with that. I really like it. That scene where they go onto the ship or whatever with
Yeah,
the
the tanker. Yeah.
with the dogs or whatever. That's a good scene. That's a fun.
They were
tense
actually
action
wolves
scene.
from the
Wolves.
zoo that had escaped.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So yeah, I liked it. That's all I got. I mean,
The part where they're like over a mall and the glass breaks. Oh, that God.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And what was the character's name that died there? He fell. Who played him? Crap. I'm not finding it.
I don't remember.
Oh, J.O. Sanders played Frank. Yeah.
Frank, right. I also like the walls of water coming through,
Yeah.
like the New York cityscape. That was
Oh, that
pretty
was a
cool.
great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Scott, you got anything?
I you know what, now like this one I didn't think I had seen it, but I actually do think I have seen it. I don't remember much about it. But it does have a really good cast: Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid, Emma Robson, Celia Ward. Oh,
Mhm.
you know, Ian Holm, Like it's got a really, really good cast.
Ian Holm is the crazy like data analyst scientist in a back room losing his mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that whole part in the movie where they're they're like the generator's running down and they're all gonna like freeze to death soon, and he's like, well, we've got this, we could give this a try, and he's like, that's a 12-year-old scotch. He pulls out the glasses. So you don't put that in the generator. You drink 12-year-old scotch.
Oh, interesting. John's got another interesting anecdote here. Something like that happened in Stalin's Russia. There was a famine and the geneticists starved to death in a seed vault instead of eating their accrued knowledge. So they chose differently.
I saw a documentary about that.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
Long
This is
time
cool.
ago, yeah.
I mean, I knew about the seed vault, but I never heard this story. This is pretty neat. I mean, grisly and disturbing, but neat. Okay, so I guess that means it's my turn. Let me look at my list. Okay, let's get really serious for a second, and let's talk about United 93.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this came out like right after 9/11 and was about, United 93, the plane that crashed into Shanksville because the passengers rose up against the terrorists. This was Paul Greengrass directed this, basically put a lot of non-actors in roles, like especially the air traffic control people were all actual air traffic control people, and some of them were the actual people who were there on that day on 9/11. And a lot of the dialogue is ripped right out of official reports and stuff like that. He tried to make it as authentic as possible. And it's the kind of movie where like you know where it's going, you know what's happening, but it's still like it kind of weasels its way into your brain as you're watching. You don't even realize the emotional impact it's going to have on you when it ends so abruptly. Like, it's the kind of movie that you're watching it and you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. Whoa, crap. It just like it all washes over you. And the fact that it came out so quickly after 9/11, I think it was like maybe 2 years. I don't remember exactly.
No, it's 1996.
What?
I didn't realize it. Yeah.
That cannot be right, because
United 93 came out in 2006.
2006. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So that was like.
Oh, did I say 1996?
You did, which makes no sense.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I mean 2006. My bad. I'm sorry. There's a lot of nines. I'm typing a lot of nines. Sorry. 93. It's 90%.
Do you not remember where you were when 9/11 happened?
Back in 1994.
I was in Nam, dude. Like there was stuff happening like you wouldn't believe.
Your PTSD's getting to you. Yeah. Shifting dates on you.
I was in Nam back in when 9/11 happened, and it was just a wild time.
But it's a movie that demonstrated the power of the story itself. Like it wasn't trying to be overly dramatic. It wasn't trying to pull on any heartstrings. There wasn't a lot of music, if any. I don't even remember. And yeah, it was just a movie that laid it out naked. Like, this is what happened. And it by itself is powerful. And yeah, it's the kind of movie that's really hard to watch more than once, like John said.
I think I've seen it. I want to say I've seen it, but I can't remember any specific scenes. Anyway, did they at one point try to take back the cockpit from the terrorists?
Yeah, that's kind of how it ends.
Okay,
yeah.
then I've seen it. Yeah, okay. It's been a long time though. Probably saw it back in like
of them making the charge.
06, 07. Yeah,
and yeah, if you saw it in the theater, dead quiet when the credits are rolling.
Yeah,
because like it's that kind of movie. Yeah. Anyway, not to bring everybody down. Now it's your turn, Harold.
Well, no. I was gonna what I was gonna say.
No, you can talk about it.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I like about it is that. Sorry, I'm trying to do some typing, so I can't really see y'all. I need to move some of this over. Anyways, so the thing that I really that I like
look
about
at your
it
face
is
either, Scott. Come on now.
No, I've got like 1,000 tabs open right now. But no, like the thing that I like about it is that it's listed as a thriller / documentary. And like some of the things that you brought up about it, and I get, right, because it's not actually a documentary, right?
It's more like
But
a reenactment. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly, yeah,
Based on what little we know about
Right.
what happened.
right, but
Which is
this
surprisingly
will-
a lot, actually.
Mhm.
yeah, we know, like, yeah, it's not little, like, because they're able to get a lot of information for that. Like, we know
Mhm.
like quite a bit about it. And so it really, I think documentary, it kind of in a way is fitting because they are documenting these heroes' lives, right? Because like that's when you make this move, you know there is a really good chance we ain't coming out the other side. And that is what a hero does, right? You do the right thing, you do the courageous thing, um, despite what others might, despite how hard it is, right? Despite your fears, overcoming your fears, right? That's bravery, that's heroism, right?
Yeah,
And
this
so
is the one plane that like knew what was happening. Like they had enough
yeah,
information to piece together that if they let the terrorists do what they were going to do, a lot of other people were going to die. So they made that calculation. Look, we're probably going to die if we try to stop this, but if we do, we will prevent a lot of other people from dying. So they
right.
made that choice.
Well, and it's one of those, like, either we do nothing and we're gonna die, and then a lot of people are gonna die, or we do something and there's a chance we might live, but if we go down, we save a lot of other people too. Like that's
Yeah,
heroism, right? And
it's
so
the trolley
it's
problem. Only you're the one strapped to
Mhm.
the grails.
yeah, right, right. Oh, good call. Yeah, no, like, and so it really is, like, it's one of those, I like, it took me a while to get around to watching just because of how hard it is. Like
It's a very
that
difficult
whole
watch. If you lived through 9/11, it's rough.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. It's you know, like, especially like with it bringing back, the concerns that we had, the fears that we had, the vulnerability feeling, right? Because we oftentimes in our country feel so safe, especially because we're an island of sorts, away from like Asia and Europe and a lot of the strife that happens. We tend not to have a lot of strife, you know, um, in Northern America at least, and so we feel really secure. So when something like this or Harbor happens, we feel extraordinarily vulnerable, right? Because we're not used to it, and so
Mhm.
it does. If you're watching that and everything, it does bring up some of those. It can bring up some of those feelings and stuff like that. Where it's one of those things where we all know where we were when it was happening, and so. Yeah, but it's a great movie. They did an excellent job. Definitely worth. It's rated 91 on or 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's definitely a good rating on
So
that.
there were like
That's
10% critics who were just like who watched this movie and were like, it's not that good.
right. I like
It didn't have a 3-act structure. What's the point?
right.
Why are we spending so much time at air traffic control? This is boring.
I know, right?
Doesn't
I don't.
like
Yeah,
have the
I haven't gone
structure,
through the.
doesn't-
You know what? Like that's what one of the things that we should do is do a video on the reactions, the negative reactions to United 90. Like, what kind of loser are you? What's wrong with your life? Like, so anyways,
It's like that infamous Schindler's List review. It's a meme. It's not a real thing, but it like I only laughed twice. 2 out of 10.
good call on that one. Yeah, very much. Okay, so mine. You brought this up, so I'll go with it. Because it. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to bring up another true to form, real life disaster, and that's Deepwater Horizon with Mark Wahlberg, and that one hits home to me as someone from Pensacola and absolutely affected by like I wasn't there. I was, I had left Pensacola by that time. But how that impact, like seeing the pictures of Pensacola Beach, of like all of this oil coming up, the cleanup that was needed. We advertise that, my hometown advertises that it's the whitest beaches in Florida, which is kind of true with as redneck as it is up there, but it's also a reflection of the sand, not just the people. And so it really, like, that movie, all of the choices for putting profits over the care of the people, and the concerns of the environment, and all of the corners that were cut. And it really does go into, like, Kurt Russell's in it, and he is phenomenal. Mark Wahlberg is actually really good. Because and I really love it because Kurt Russell is an actor that has gravitas and authority, right? And Mark Wahlberg
Absolutely.
plays the younger adult, right? And he is like the number two, right? And I think that, like, even though he's kind of Mark Wahlberg is the star of the movie, like, I think him as the number two compared to like Kurt Russell, just to me was great casting. And Kurt Russell is like, I don't care what we're doing, whatever he tells me to do, I will follow him into whatever. Like, he is just like, he tells me to do something, I'm like, sounds great to me, let's do this, right? And his challenging of the executives that are there who are trying to, like, get this going and kind of skirt stuff, and he's bringing up the warnings because, hey, we're contracted to work for you guys, right? We don't actually work for BP. We're contracted workers, right? Mm-hmm. And you're putting my men at risk. And he's constantly challenging this. But if they don't, then they lose future contracts, all this different stuff. Yeah, Tracy, yeah, exactly, right? And the amount of destruction that was unnecessary, right? Like, when you look at that giant, like the sea life, right? Like, we have I'm going to get a little bit on my pedestal here, but I really earnestly constantly talk about how, because we are the alpha species and we have the brains that we have a responsibility, like the Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And we have a responsibility to be the caretakers and the guardians of this planet, right? And the other animals that inhabit it. And we oftentimes fail. And this is absolutely one of those things where we don't live up to our expectations and what's expected of us.
Yeah, stewardship of this planet,
Exactly, right? And again, not only for us, right, and the animals that are living now, but to our future generations. We only borrow this planet. We don't own it, right? And yet we treat it like we're almost like we're children in a playroom, right? We don't take care of the toys, and they get destroyed, and then eventually, like, look, you don't get a replacement. It's just gone, right? So grow up and learn to be responsible, kid.
We are children handed the plate of cookies and told to only eat one.
Right. And
that old analogy or
yeah,
example.
I don't want to be responsible. I just want to move to other planets.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Okay.
What if we terraform? I love that. Like, what if we terraform Mars? Right?
Because Mars doesn't have a magnetic field, dumbasses.
Right. I know, right? Like,
dumbasses.
It's too small. It's too small it's already lost its magnetic field. We actually have a magnetic.
We see an atmosphere there. It's going to blow away in 1,000 years. And I mean, it's going to take us 1,000 years to terraform it.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have the raw resources we would need to survive.
All it's got, really,
even if we
could
could magically give it a magnetic field and an atmosphere, just like poof in existence, it still wouldn't be really that habitable as a long-term solution.
Right. It's just, and now, like, let's go to the moon. The moon has nothing. What are you talking about? Like we can't live on the moon.
The moon could be not as a colony, definitely never a permanent colony, but Well, as a base for jumping
No,
off
as
to
a-
the asteroids
Well, yeah,
to get
duh,
to,
obviously,
you know,
yeah.
No,
yeah, to
it's
get
a
to
hub.
those resources.
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying
You're just
it
a hub.
can't be a replacement, right? It
No,
can't be a
no, no,
replacement
no,
for
no,
this
no.
planet, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like they've also talked about like Venus, because we could fly, we could live like the Jetsons, because there is a Goldilocks area if we live high enough in the atmosphere, right? But I'm like, well, why don't we just do stuff here? Why are we
Yeah.
keep on? Anyways, like the amount of cost.
The amount,
Without-
yeah, the amount of money it would
the
take to do
stupidity.
any of that. It's like, well,
Can
if
we
just
build
did so much
any
cheaper, put
material
that here?
that would actually like support weight on the surface of Venus without melting? Like, is that even
No.
possible?
It would
No.
have to be like magnetic. It would have to be a magnetic floating. Like, but I'm like,
No.
again.
And yes, I know we're
Just-
Space 1999. I know.
Venus, yet another planet that does not have another planet that does not
Resources.
have a magnetic field. So
Doesn't have
kind
the
of
resources.
important.
It's like all of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I like some of this stuff. So like, I just like this movie just shines a light on the fact of that, you know, our responsibility that when we do something, right, or that like that we don't do enough to make sure that, like, again, I think, you know, the essential part of capitalism, if you read Common Sense by Adam Smith, is that you have to have some sort of oversight, right? You can't just have no oversight. And that's kind of what Deepwater Horizon is that it has no.
Oh no, Danny's right. Yeah. We should just take over the alien base that's in the center of the hollow moon.
Yeah,
That's a
for
good
sure.
solution. I like that.
Isn't that where Hitler's minions are right now?
Oh,
According
right.
to-
That's
where
right,
Hitler
that's
went.
right.
I forgot. Yeah.
Steel Skies or something like that, or I can't remember the name of that. movie.
Iron Sky.
Anyway,
Iron Sky, yeah, that's
I
it.
just-
Yeah,
To me,
I was close, it's a
Deepwater, like, I just like, to me, Deepwater Horizon is just like, you know, again, like, because like they found that there were only 7 people in order to provide oversight for all of the oil rigs that we have in the US, like throughout the entire continent, like even into Alaska and stuff like that, which is insane. That's just too many and not enough people, right? So there's no oversight, right? And so that's
Mhm.
how Deepwater Horizon happens, right?
Don't
Is
worry, they just
because-
found a whole bunch of oil under Antarctica. You're fine.
yeah, let's go drill
I
that.
know. I know.
Yeah, there are still tar balls washing up on Pensacola Beach because of the amount of oil that was released into the Gulf below the
That we
water
haven't
that
cleaned
stayed
up.
in the water column that we can't get to, and is either settling to the bottom or amassed in a blob within certain thermal layers in the ocean in the Gulf or whatever. They're not sure. They still don't know where it all went, but there's still
Right.
tar balls washing up on the beach all the time. You go out there and you walk the beach. It's beautiful white sands, and then you'll see these little black balls every now and again, and
Mhm.
just tar balls. And they get collected. People come and pick them up, but about the
I
only
was-
thing good that came of the whole Deepwater Horizon thing was the nice fat check I got from Deepwater Horizon, but and a lot of businesses did throughout the area, but that was just horrible. I mean, I knew people that worked on the beach that were out there cleaning it up, and they said the smell was just, it was this chemical smell, and there were people crying over the state of the beach at the time. And we didn't even get it that bad here. I mean, yeah, we got some of it, but there were other places that were far worse than here.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Like
Still, it was
Louisiana,
literally close to
yeah,
home for you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It was
Uncle
like
Joe.
15 minutes from my house. So
Yeah.
No,
and
and
oil
I'm
slicks in
like,
the bay and stuff. So
and like I like the beach was my sanctuary growing up. Like going out there, I got to see phosphorescent algae twice in my life out there. Like it
Pretty
was,
cool.
it's just this amazing thing, right? And I used to, like, when I had the minivan, the Buddha-mobile, like I had a mattress back in the back, and I would go and I would like pop open the back and had a like sleep on the mattress out on the beach overnight, and it was just fantastic. It was amazing. It's beautiful, and it's a really, really precious resource.
You're not helping the stereotype of the Florida redneck on the beach on a mattress.
Scott's out
It's
there.
good living.
Scott's out there.
No
in his-
shirt,
Right.
beer.
in his child molester
Randy
van with a
Quaid from
mattress in the back.
National.
Yeah, exactly.
Randy
Yes.
Quaid from Christmas Vacation, like just like, hey neighbor.
Shooter's full.
What are we doing?
So
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, no,
Deepwater
it's-
Horizon, the movie. I was actually talking about this
no, it's
movie
a
not too
great
long
movie.
ago with a friend of mine because he was surprised that Mark Wahlberg was really good in it, and I'm like, dude, Mark Wahlberg can act. He usually doesn't, but he can. He is capable of it. I remember back
He's a
when I saw him
superstar, a big,
in.
fat, freaking superstar.
I remember when I saw him back in what was it, the Basketball Diaries, where he's like, this was when he was still Marky Mark, you know, still in his Calvin Klein days.
Oh,
But he's really good in that movie as a drug addict who like completely disintegrates as a human being. And like, yeah, he's always had some acting chops. He just likes the paychecks. So
There's a movie on my list of disaster movies that he stars in. I'm sure you know which one it is, where he, no, his acting is horrible.
oh, I know what movie you're talking about. Okay, I get it.
M. Night Shyamalan movie. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's your turn if you want to talk about that movie. We
Yeah,
can.
it's your turn. Why don't you talk
I
about it?
could, but I was gonna bring up Twister first, and if
Okay,
we
yeah,
had
let's do that.
time,
Okay,
because
there you go.
that's yet another one of those. That other one is one of those movies that is about a disaster that is a disaster. At the same
disaster,
time.
yes.
Yeah, so I have to bring it up. But no, I'm going to talk about Twister
What?
first because
No.
it's a disaster movie that about tornadoes that happen all the time and are happening more often, it seems. And
I'm in the
further-
Midwest. I get that.
and, yeah, and further east than they used to be kind of stuck in. You know, they're moving down to where I am a lot. We've been under tornado warnings all weekend, or at least the first part of it. It's not raining now, but it was earlier. Well, yeah, good movie. Great cast: Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, come on, who plays the hippie? You know, it's like the whole
Yeah, that
time
guy.
he's like drugged out of his mind while he's driving, and so yeah, it's great. You know, it's
Harry Elways as the villainous.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And just, you know, just the list goes on, but you know, lots of great actors in that movie. You know, good. Was that a Michael Crichton story?
Nope.
No,
Nope. It does feel like one, but
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah. But just overall, you know,
And it had good science. It had actual good science, which in,
Yeah,
in a movie
yeah.
like that is extremely rare.
yeah, the whole idea of like having the like little pods in the container and trying to get them up into the tornado.
Yeah, that's fun.
to
And
map
apparently
the
that really
inside.
works.
Yeah. So didn't they do that actually? I
They
think
did,
2 years
like,
after that movie, I think. Wasn't it
They
late
were
90s or
talking
something?
about it before the movie came out. Like this was an idea
Yeah.
they had, and it's kind of
Yeah.
what inspired the movie.
Yeah.
And then after the movie, they finally did a few test runs, and then a couple years later, they actually succeeded in doing basically what they do in the movie. You know, without actually having people strapped to a barn, but you
Yeah,
know,
or driving the. Did they drive the truck into the
into
tornado
the
like they
house.
did?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a, you know, it's a fairly well put together movie. It's a little cheesy in places and whatnot, but hey, you know, yeah, the cow. We've got cows.
Yeah, the cow,
Moo.
the cow flying by was one of the
There's
best.
another cow. No, actually, I think that was the same
Movie.
cow.
And yeah, this is timely. There's actually a 30 years too late sequel coming out this summer, which doesn't look good, but whatever. Like, it doesn't look terrible either.
Well, didn't they do a remake in like 20?
Yes, they did do.
They
I
did.
or something. I've
Yeah.
never seen the remake.
I don't think anybody's seen it, honestly.
Yeah. That's,
But no, this Twisters, which is coming out in a couple of months, is a direct sequel to the original Twister, just without any
yeah,
of the
Twisters.
characters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twisters.
It even showed the Dorothy and the drones and all that stuff in the trailer. Also, I hate to sound like a dirty man, but Helen Hunt in a white shirt getting wet the entire movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Nothing wrong with that, Eric.
Just saying. I'm gonna put this back up because it's funny.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
like-
Apparently, Indy says Crichton did write the screenplay. So
Aha!
there you go. You
I was
are
right.
You got me on Michael Crichton trivia. That's impressive.
Yes.
Good job.
It's funny. I was watching a thing on CBS this morning about Michael Crichton is coming out with another book tomorrow, I think. Who
It's real good for a dead guy.
Yeah,
He
I
keeps
know.
putting out books.
Yeah, he keeps coming out with it because he had a whole bunch that were half written. So, and then
Yeah.
they brought in another writer, and I can't remember. They said it on the thing on the story. Who's something? Is it Peterson? Or what was his name? Now it's gonna bug me.
James Patterson.
And yeah,
Patterson.
Patterson.
That's it.
There you go. Okay.
you're basically right, John. It was more of a special effects spectacle movie than it was anything else, and there isn't really a good justification for a sequel. It's just studio wants to make money. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, the justification is that people will go and watch it, right? And so
Exactly. Yeah.
Such is
Yeah.
life.
Exactly, Vim. You don't need an argument. You just need money.
Will it make money?
Who
How much will it
knows?
cost?
We'll see.
All right,
Uh,
moving on, I guess.
Okay.
So that was you. So,
Eric's
oh
turn.
wow, that means it's
That's
my
back
turn.
to you, Eric.
Okay, well, people were complaining about our movies being too recent, so let's go with King Kong, 1933 King Kong, the OG. I like this movie mostly. I mean, I like the movie itself, but I also like the behind-the-scenes story that this is basically just about a guy who was completely insane and liked to go into Africa and taunt tigers and wanted to make a movie about a giant gorilla fighting Komodo dragons because he thought it would be cool. And people flocked to the movie for the special effects. And then they said, this is like this deep allegory about man's interaction with nature and what he does to the world around him. And he's just like, monkey cool.
He's an ape, not a monkey. Giant ape.
So that always amuses me. But the movie itself, and yeah, the special effects, groundbreaking for the time. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but it is technically the first blockbuster. Like growing up, I used to think the word blockbuster actually came a lot later, like it came from the 70s with Jaws, but no, it's actually from 1933. King Kong was the first movie they ever called a blockbuster, which I think at the time meant something specific. Nowadays, it usually just means it made over $100 million. But anyway, I like the stop motion special effects, which inspired Ray Harryhausen. How can you not? You know, Willis O'Brien, all that stuff. I do like the allegory, even if he completely did not intend for there to be one. Merian Cooper is the guy I'm talking about. He's the crazy dude. And I don't know, like Fay Wray screaming at the camera with the guy whose name I can't remember, who's basically just a stand-in for Merian Cooper. The guy who's like does the exposition. I can't remember his name. Yeah, it's a classic. It is a great movie. It's the first like really big monster movie, you know? And how like they just bring nature to New York and it wreaks havoc on New York and like tearing apart subway trains and climbing on the Empire State Building. I mean, this is ingrained in our culture. It's part of our psyche now. So yeah, great movie.
Mm-hmm. It's been so long since I've seen it, but I have seen it.
Yeah, John, there you go. That's it. That's what blockbuster meant. The line would go all the way around the block during the premiere. Yeah, that's it. I knew there was a definition. I just had forgotten. Hey, I liked Fay Wray's acting. Shut up. Thought she was really good in that movie. She's bad in other movies, but I thought she was good in that one. I don't know.
I
That's
like.
all I got.
I like to me. I like. Whether it was intended or not, I think it absolutely is a great metaphor. Like whether he
It's
intended
so
it or
like in
whatever.
your face, you can't deny it. But I don't think
Right.
Merian C.
And-
Cooper intended for it to be one.
But
It's just an accidental.
but again, it goes to our implicit biases, right? And our observations of human our social structures, right? And so here he is writing things that he may not intend, but based on his like subconscious awareness of society and things like that and dynamics, it's coming out, right? And so maybe it's just a projection of his own implicit bias and things like that. And people are like, hey, look at this great metaphor. And he's like, I kind of liked it that way, you know, and it's like, oh yeah. Like, I don't know. Right. Maybe who knows, but like, but to me, absolutely. I agree with you. It's blatantly obvious, right? It's blatantly out there. And so I absolutely, and then on top of it, like when you watch it as a 1933 movie and you're like, holy moly, this is what a 1933 movie could be. That's amazing, right? Yep. And then on top of it also, so much, it's part of the zeitgeist, right? So much of it is part of the zeitgeist now, right? Even from like the arm going in and grabbing this small little like human being, this giant arm reaching in the window, and then carrying it up, like it's iconic, right? We use it in like Coca-Cola use it in a commercial, and we all know what's going on, right? We all understand it. It's just
the entire basis for the video game Rampage.
Oh yeah, right.
Yes. Godzilla, come on now.
And later
Godzilla,
the movie,
yes, of course.
And then you got a giant version of the Wolfman in there, of course.
For some reason.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Just because, you know.
You don't need
Wolfman
reasons for
cool.
Rampage.
Wolfman are cool, man. But no, like
I loved that game.
later
Me
the
later
have
it on
the
Nintendo.
People.
I still have it on Nintendo.
And the terrible Dwayne The Rock movie, and so that
was horrible. Oh my god,
I never
it was
saw
bad
it because I had no interest in it.
whatsoever. I watched bits and I couldn't watch the whole thing, but it is.
I watched the whole
bad.
thing because I loved the game so much. I had to see the whole thing, and I regret seeing the whole thing. I really do.
Vim, you're
like an hour and a half of my life I can't get back. You know. So.
And Vim, you are absolutely correct. The wolf was Ralph. That's right.
Yes, the Wolfman was Ralph.
But no, yeah. Oh, and like,
and you take too much damage, and you turn into a little naked person after run off the screen.
You could eat that person if you were one of the other ones.
If you were the other player,
just great. Anyway,
the wizard was.
But
the wizard was Lizzie or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right.
She was a girl. Yeah.
But it was just great. Like the movie, it was like King Kong is just, it's great. It's absolutely like, you know, the lore has grown, right? And the way that they built up the lore and tried to build off of it, and like even out, like they're coming out with more movies about like King Kong and stuff like that, and it just like, to me, it's you know, whether the movies are great or not, like to me, it deserves its canon and its movie universe and everything. I love it, absolutely love it. So
yeah, and just talk briefly.
97%. 97. I was gonna say 97% on Rotten Tomatoes too.
Yeah.
So
the 70s remake
is
okay. It's not great. I kind of like it and kind of don't like it at the same time. I like Jeff Bridges. I don't like Jessica Lange at all. She's no Fay Ray. I also hate that they don't have any dinosaurs in that movie. What's a King Kong movie without dinosaurs? Doesn't make any sense. And then there was the Peter Jackson 2000 something remake, which is way too long. It's like 4 hours long. I respect what he was trying to do, and he really was trying to stick to the original vision of the movie and was like putting a lot of work and a lot of effort into it, and I respect the hell out of the filmmaking, but I don't like the movie at all. I think it's dull. Adrian Brody, as much as I love him, is not an action hero. Stop trying to make him one.
Is that the one with Jack Black?
Yeah, and Jack Black is the guy who is the stand-in for Miriam Cooper. Yeah. And he's actually pretty well done. Like, I actually was impressed because I expected him to be the worst thing about the movie. He's actually probably the best thing about the movie. And then there's Kong Skull Island, which is just, you know, MonsterVerse silliness, which I really, really enjoy. I love every minute of it. The most recent Godzilla X Kong is basically another King Kong movie. Godzilla's kind of just in it. It's more about King Kong. And yeah, then there's the other like weird Toho versions of King Kong, like King Kong Escapes with I love that movie. I've got a video on it. I don't need to talk about it. Yeah, King Kong's one of my favorites. That's all. I'm done.
Okay.
And
All right,
I
Scott,
will
your turn.
go. Yep. So I will go. This one's tough. Okay. I just got to get it in. Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths. There's part 1, there's part 2 out, and part 3 is going to come out. Part 1 is actually 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's an animated movie about one of the big DC events, comic book events. And it is all of the multiverses being wiped away by what is eventually, spoilers, discovered to be the Anti-Monitor, which is almost like antimatter kind of almost. And so it's going through and you're seeing, so they gather all the heroes from all multiverses to come together and try to defeat this, right? And first off, it also, like, I love the Flash, and I think we in DC we focus on like Green Lantern or Batman or Superman, and I don't think the Flash gets enough. Even Aquaman at times, like when we think of like the Justice League, we'll think of him a little bit more than we even think of the Flash, I think, at times. I hate that Ezra Miller or Ezra Klein. What's his name?
No, Ezra Miller. Ezra Klein is somebody else entirely.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, that's right. Yeah, no, I was like, wait, no. He's a politics guy. Okay, never mind. Ezra Miller. Just like, I hate what he did to the Flash. But I really think that the Flash is an underrated superhero, and movies like this show just how potent and powerful his powers can be. And so it's a great. Oh, you're right. He does like to, or they do like to prefer to be addressed as they. So I do want to get that correct. I don't like when people misgender me or call me like feminine names, and so I won't call him by a gender that he doesn't prefer. So I'm respectful like that.
People
Right,
call
so
you by
they.
feminine names.
Call they. God, like
It's
And
hard.
so-
I know. Like me and Lynn did a whole podcast about Ezra Miller, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's hard to get
Yeah.
the pronouns right in that case. And really,
Yeah.
like, I don't feel bad when I did occasionally get it wrong, because I feel like I don't want to get too political. But with Ezra Miller, I don't have a lot of respect for them as a person. So
Yeah.
like if I said
Yeah.
something that would offend them, I'm not really that sorry.
There's some despicable stuff, and like of all the people that like I could offend, they are one of the least ones I'm worried about. But
Exactly. But I do like to
I'm
respect
more-
people wanting to have their own pronouns and genders. Like I don't really take issue with that. You know me.
and for me, like I'm more worried about anybody else that identifies similarly and how it could offend them more so than how it could offend.
Exactly.
Ezra
Exactly
Miller.
my point.
But-
Yeah.
Mhm.
You said
But
it well.
anyways, like I hate what he did, but like or I hate what they did. Like the Flash is this, like his ability to travel through dimensions and all these different things. The concept of the Speed Force, like it's like, in all honesty, I know it's a little bit goofy and what have you, but they did a really good job. And DC movies, live action movies are are just notoriously bad, except for Batman. But their animated movies are phenomenal and far exceed anybody's like movies. Like they're just exceptional. And so it's definitely worth watching if you get a chance to watch it. So I just want
I
to put that
haven't
out there
seen-
before.
I haven't seen Crisis on Infinite Earths yet, but I can vouch for the fact that DC's animated movies are usually better than their live action movies. And I say that as somebody who does still like their live action movies, even when they're pretty terrible.
Yeah, me too.
Like, but their their animated stuff is like a different level. Like the storytelling in their animated movies is surprisingly mature and well done. And I don't mean mature in that edgy way where everybody just says a bad word and oh no, somebody might be naked. Nothing like that. I mean like mature as in the storytelling is well thought out, well crafted, well planned, and sophisticated in a way that you wouldn't expect from an animated movie about Batman. You know. Like,
Right.
And I respect that. I respect that a lot.
I haven't seen it. So.
And Indy, you are worthy of being called your magnificent. So I'm all about that.
I'll still refer to you as channel member, Indy. That's your honorific for me. But yeah, I don't have an opinion on Crisis of Infinite Earths. Like I said, I haven't seen it. Lynn's been trying to get me to watch it for a while. We got to get him on to talk about it, but he's probably still hungover from his birthday. So. Oh, and to the people who've asked about that podcast, it's kind of on sabbatical right now because Lynn's in the middle of a move and he's got other things going on. But the Streaming Heap will come back, I promise. Even if I have to start having guests on, which I might. Anyway,
and counterpoint, wait, no, is it? Oh, wait.
Dead air, Harold.
Sorry. There's oh golly. I'll come back. At my next time, I'll bring it up. Go ahead.
Okay, I guess moving on, or
moving on.
Okay.
Moving on. Yes.
all right.
Sorry.
I teased of it just a minute ago, so I'm just gonna
okay.
go ahead and bring it up. Is is The Happening, which is both a disaster movie and a disaster of a movie. Not very good. I watched it again for the first time in a long time the other night, and I was like, man, Mark Wahlberg's acting in this is just
What?
It's
No.
like, he's like a science teacher, but he acts like this like clueless, I don't know, like child through the whole fucking movie. I'm sorry to swear.
It's deserved.
It's like, what's going on? What are we doing here? Oh my god, they might be the plants, guys. We should, it's just like just this whole it's like my girlfriend's acting kind of weird. Just try not to, try to play it off, okay? It's like to his best friend. What was that guy? The comedian. God,
John Leguizamo.
yeah, him.
Yeah.
He was the best actor in that entire movie.
And he's gone within the first 40
yeah.
minutes, maybe. I don't know.
And I mean, I've always loved Zoe,
Deschanel.
Yeah, in other movies, but in that one,
It's
almost like she's not there.
Yeah, it's an M. Night thing. Like he likes to direct his actors to be like incredibly stoic. And for some actors that really, really works. It worked for Bruce Willis, it worked really well for Mel Gibson. But for Mark Wahlberg and Zoe Deschanel, it just makes them seem wooden. Like they're not
It's almost like they're just like reading off a card, like just kind of like they're just reciting their lines and they're just
see you later, John. Dishes
you know,
are done, man.
Moving to the next thing kind of thing. And they're just not really there.
Yeah, exactly. I get you.
In that movie, it didn't really work. And now, like the best actors in that movie were everybody else.
Basically, yes.
Those two just didn't work. I mean, even the old lady at the end that's like, in the house in the woods.
Lady.
Yeah, the crazy lady without any no electricity, no nothing. I don't remember if she even had running water or a water pump, but
I think it was a pump. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like she did a better job. Anyway, what I do like about that movie is the concept, the idea that the plants could turn against us, which is not really possible, but kind of plausible in a way because they can release chemicals. I mean, like when you mow the grass and it makes that smell, that's actually a distress signal from your grass, letting other plants know that there's a murderer about. So it's like warning the trees and everything else.
Yep.
Yeah, communicating through chemical signatures. So I mean, plants do communicate with each other through the chemicals they give off and through their roots and through the what is the
mycelium.
Yeah, that's it. Very good.
Haven't you seen
Um,
Star Trek Discovery?
So, so plants do communicate with each other, and they can put up defenses, and they can release chemicals to try to ward off the pest that is attacking the other plant, and so on and so forth, and change their chemistry and such to try to keep the caterpillars or the whatevers off of them. But so it is kind of one of those things where it's semi-plausible, but not really possible, So it's just
It's
an
like
interesting
1% based on reality and 99% just exaggeration.
Well, yeah, 75-25, but yeah, still. Yes, 75% exaggeration of what plants actually can do, kind of thing. And to the fact that they would even be conscious of the fact that there's one person walking through a garden or something, the plants are attacking smaller and smaller groups. It's just like, yeah, that's very no, they can't. They don't
have
sense
those
us
kinds
like
of
that.
sensory
No.
organs.
It's like,
yeah.
they can't see or smell or notice us. We'd have to attack them, and if you're not attacking the plant, then as far as it's concerned. And the other thing that kind of bothered me in that is they show other animals that aren't dead while all the humans are. It's like, I'm pretty sure that some sort of nerve agent that attacks us is going to take out most other mammals at the same time. So but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway.
Yeah, if you wanted to killer plants, man, give me Triffids. I don't.
There you
I don't
go.
need this.
I'll take Triffids any day.
No, like this was M. Night's trying to do War of the Worlds in his own way, because like it's structured like War of the Worlds, including the crazy lady at the end is very similar to the crazy guy at the end of War of the Worlds. But it's just so clunky. Man, this is the movie that made me like stop being an M. Night apologist.
Disaster of a movie. Yeah,
it's so bad. It's like, I don't know if you can intentionally make a movie that bad. Like if you tried to make a movie that bad, it would just come across as you're trying to be hokey, and it would be like an asylum movie. You'd laugh at it, but you wouldn't. It wouldn't like stick with you. This movie sticks with you because it's just so earnest and so bad at the same time. It's just it bugs me because I want it to be a good movie, and it's not at all.
Could have been a good movie. The concept there could have made for a good movie.
Oh, of course. Also, Audrey. Yes, Audrey too. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Little shop.
I like that alternate ending where Audrey is like, taking over everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. It's like a War of the Worlds scene where they're walking through the stepping on tanks and stuff. Yeah.
To be a dentist. Sorry.
It's so it's 18%. It's 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's rent or purchase. And so for those reasons, I would say don't watch it. If it ever becomes free on streaming, then go ahead and waste.
If you happen to have been dumb enough to buy it out of the dollar bin at Walmart 15 years ago, and that's why you have it and can still watch it to this day, then by all means watch it again. But otherwise, don't go out of your way. Just don't even buy it out of the dollar bin.
It's bad.
It's not worth $2.99 or whatever I paid for it. But I had to bring it up because this is disaster movies, and
absolutely, and
that
is,
one
no. I like
disaster.
No, I like, because what was it like in the first one? I brought up like The Flash or whatever, and so it like yeah.
Okay, well, I think we got time for one more round.
One more round, yep.
Then we'll stop.
I've already got my next one picked out, so.
All right. Well, I mentioned giant monsters, so let's go and stomping through New York. So let's go with Cloverfield.
Oh, yeah.
I unabashedly love Cloverfield, the first one, and I like the sequel. I don't like the third one; it's terrible. But like, I like the idea of using the found footage horror thing and putting it in like a Godzilla, because basically this was Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams wanting to do for 9/11 what Godzilla did for, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I know technically it was the fishing boat and all that, but you know what I mean. Trying to touch that like cultural nerve of 9/11. And it does it by decapitating the Statue of Liberty. I mean, it's pretty on the nose.
Decapitating it and then throwing it into the city,
And like it spends the first 20 minutes, like any found footage movie, of seemingly nothing happening, where you're just like meeting the characters and they're awful, just like so up themselves, so full of themselves. You've got what's his name, the guy who was later found out to be a sex pest. I can't remember his name, but that actor, he's the one who's behind the camera for most of the movie, and he is obnoxious and annoying and horrible.
Is it
But
T.J. Miller?
T.J. Miller, that's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like, he's perfect. He's perfectly cast because this is exactly the kind of characters that he wanted to portray in this movie. They are very realistic, upper middle class New Yorkers who think so highly of themselves but don't really have any life experience whatsoever, thrust into sudden disaster where they have to like cope and survive and live in a way that they've never ever had to even consider before. They have to throw away all their petty nonsense and focus on what's happening around them. And I feel like that's brilliant. I feel like that's a lot of what 9/11 felt like for me, because I was coming out of my 20s just like you guys were, or just starting my 20s, I mean. And like yeah, you let go of that like decadence of like college life and, you know, that post high school, you know, life is open to you and you can just get drunk on the weekends and stuff like that, and not really thinking about life. And then 9/11 happens and all of a sudden like the whole world is important for a minute, and that's harsh. And I feel like Cloverfield does that while still delivering a really entertaining, silly monster movie that is a found footage horror movie. I mean, it's all wrapped up together, and I love it. I freaking love it. And it gave us Matt Reeves, who is one of the best directors working today. So Cloverfield.
That whole scene in the subway with the
subway with
the mites coming after him that came off the beast.
The sound effects on those guys are so yeah.
It's like you hear it like if you got like full Dolby surround or whatnot in your house and you listen and watch that movie and you hear it because it's like coming out back there, you're like, what the heck's going on there? And then what's her name? Was it what was it Lizzie played Marlena.
Yeah,
she was the one that she explodes or something like
that.
Right. Yeah. After
like
she
off
gets
screen
bit by,
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like getting
behind the
sicker and
curtain.
sicker, and then like bleeding out of the eyes, and then like you see her behind a curtain explode. Yeah.
She gets bigger or whatever, and
Lacey Chaplin. Yeah.
God, that whole scene was like the whole time. The whole movie leaves you thinking, you're like wondering what the heck happened. You know, it's like, what was that? And what was that? And where did it come from? And, you know, and then they, you know, the credit scene where you see the thing fall into the ocean or whatever. And
if you're really paying attention, because that's J.J. Abrams. Yeah.
And it's like, well, was it an alien? Was it some sort of sea monster that was awakened by that thing that fell into the water? What was it exactly? You know?
I'm familiar with the lore, but we don't need to get into it.
Yeah.
It was a satellite.
I know. I'm familiar with it too. I just, you know, it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it leaves you with all these questions.
It leaves you with a lot of questions and not a lot of answers, which is, I think, appropriate for something that's about a disaster like that.
I still think there were two monsters, not just one. I know that's kind of controversial, but you know,
I've heard this theory.
Yeah, when you look at what happened to the bridge at one point, it's like, that was much bigger than the Cloverfield monster, whatever took down that bridge. So anyway,
I like rabbit holes like that. I really do, even if they're stupid. I love them.
Yeah, it's fun. It gives you something to do sometimes. Go deep dive research.
Like just let your conspiracy theory brain go
into this complete fiction.
Especially like if like as far as conspiracies go. Completely harmless and
the harmless kind.
Exactly. Yes.
Gloriously wonderful.
Unless we're talking about Star Wars, that's not harmless because
those people
get really mad.
They'll find where you live.
You will get cut. You will not walk away from that the same way you walked into it. So,
but I should disclaim, I mean Star Wars fans on the internet. Like in real life, I've gone to Star Wars conventions. Nicest people on the planet. They will not argue with you. But like online, they'll swat you.
Yeah.
Well, it's the whole like, you know, in person. It's the population of they're in person, so therefore, like they can't do anything about it. But online, then they have the protected. They're behind the protected wall. So
Yeah,
no,
you're
I'm
not
just
talking
kidding.
to a
I'm kidding.
person, you're talking to a person's id.
You're right. So, anyways, no, I love that movie. I think it's phenomenally done.
Mhm.
It is from start to finish. It's really, really enjoyable. It's absolutely spectacular. It's a really, like, to me, it's a really fun and great movie. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I like that one's definitely worth watching, and you will enjoy it. So,
Oh, don't get me started, Danny. Don't get me started. The silver leg on C-3PO. And I like Star Trek. Like, if you have a conspiracy theory about Star Trek and it spreads enough, it becomes canon just by itself. It just happens. I love that about Star Trek.
yeah, like
The whole idea that the Klingons from the TOS era got some genetic disease and became the Klingons we see later. Like, that was actually like canonized in Star Trek Enterprise, and that was just a stupid conspiracy theory that started on the internet. I love it. I love that stuff.
One of the things I feel like there is a democratization of Star Trek.
Absolutely.
And they because I like, and it makes sense to me because you have this little show that only lasted 3 seasons, like generates this insane following, right? Which today, like 3 seasons, most shows go to 3 seasons just because they don't want to have to pay their actors royalties, right? And so, like, this could have just been 3 seasons and done. And it's kind of wonky. It pushes the boundaries on a lot of things. It easily could have ended up in the dustbin of history. But the fans were so passionate about it. The only thing I've ever seen close to that is Firefly, right? And like the fervent, but like Firefly still has sputtered out. There's no. It's
the original Star
to
Trek only got a 3rd season because of fans, the fan write-in campaign, and like the famous first time it ever worked. You know, that was Star Trek.
Yeah. So I just like, and so to me, by responding to your fans like that, just shows gratitude, right? And
absolutely.
And whenever I hear the stars of Star Trek, like, because it may not be their bag, right? They may not be like, I'm not really that much of a sci-fi fan. But I'm so grateful for the fans that I'm into this, right? And so to me, it really, like, I love that reciprocation of and gratitude, like, and that's one of the things I've always gotten from like the Star Trek universe and of everything. So, anyways.
So anyway, like usual, we've devolved into talking about Star Trek.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh yeah, this is about Cloverfield. So anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. That's right.
Okay. So your turn.
You know
Scott.
what you said? It was something democratic. So that made me go into like a disaster. So that.
Not the worst digression you could go on.
Yeah.
So for me, you brought up the complaint of not enough. That a lot of the movies that we brought up were too recent. So I will respect that and go to one that I think is phenomenal and pairs with a movie that we brought up, I think, last time. And that is A Night to Remember from 1953 about the Titanic. On Rotten Tomatoes, Titanic. It is 100%. It is this one. I actually like it better than Titanic.
Ooh,
like
hot take.
I like Titanic is a good story, it, and everything, but this one to me really gets into, rather than just Jack and Rose, like, instead of that fixation, this one really breaks down what happened, right, and why. Now, they weren't as accurate because you just see this like Titanic just straight going down, like right, instead of like break and then getting drugged down, right? But it, like, kids being left behind because women. First off, what happened to gallantry of women and children first mentality with men? Like, there's always going to be a few scragglers that are going to try and defy that because of their own cowardice and their lack of like of gallantry and stuff like that. But like, I'm watching this and I'm like, that would never happen today. Like, that would never, like, it would be to me like like Walmart has a Black Friday sale on a Wednesday throughout, you know, that lasts a week, and you are, and it is every person for themselves, and people are bringing out switchblades and just like getting cut and, you know, going to the emergency room because of this, like, and that's on just a sale. Like, you bring up we're all going to die, this whole like women and children first would go out the window. Now, there were plenty of people who were like, hey, I want to, right? And once the captain says every man for himself, right? Because we've gotten the women and children off, you know, then it does become a bit of a free for all, especially because they're like, oh my God, we really are going to die. And also, I loved the portrayal of arrogance that no, this ship is unsinkable. I was told it was unsinkable, so therefore it's unsinkable. And this cognitive dissonance of what's happening in reality, because reality is too scary to actually face, right? And as we go into a disaster, we have so much denial of the truth that we're willing to accept the comforting promises of the that ignore the boiling water around us, right? It's and then also it really does show the segregation of like, oh, you're the bottom class, yeah, no, we're gonna lock you out. And so the majority of people that survived were the first class, and then, you know, the second class, and then very few of the bottom class like survived. Like the majority, like they had less than 50. They had less boat space, less than 50% boat space in the rescue boats. So that meant more than 50% of the people were perished, right? Or were left to try and swim it out, right? And so, and also the boats weren't filling up because some people were like, we're just gonna leave now, and we still have room for another 20, and they're on their own, right? Because and so more than actually needed to passed away. And also their emergency calls weren't being responded to because, again, the Titanic's unsinkable, right? And so the propaganda that we put out in advertisement can sometimes come back to bite us. Like,
yeah, a lot of people thought they were just going to get on the lifeboats, get on the water, like float around a little bit, and then get back on the ship. Like, that's what a lot of people thought was going to happen.
They would get it fixed, right? And you know, it's a really good movie. It is very 1950s, but it is and it's black and white, but I love it. I loved everything about it. It is a great movie, start to finish. It is a great movie. It really portrays like the struggles that they had, why some of this happened, and the horrors of it, right? Because like not all the women and children, not all the children made it up there, right? Made it onto the boats, right? And they don't show the horror of it, but they indicate with one particular child, like, yeah, this was not the only kid. And what do we do with that? And that's like, again, it's the 1950s, so it's not as like horrific. It is a little bit more sanitized, but
I don't know, man. Sometimes
still,
the implied horror is more horrific than actually the horror that you see on screen. Like, I mean, A Night to Remember is actually a very powerful movie, and I'm not willing to go so far as to say it's better than Titanic, but I do think it does things in a different way than Titanic. Titanic is a romance with an ensemble cast, whereas A Night to Remember is an ensemble movie. Like there aren't really any protagonists. You can kind of make a few cases, but really it's an ensemble movie about a bunch of different people going through a bunch of different things at once. It's about like the story of the Titanic sinking. Whereas Titanic is about Jack and Rose, and then there's the side plot with the jewel and all that stuff. I mean, it still has its central core of characters. But yeah, I think A Night to Remember.
Let me say this. I this is why I like Night to Remember better, right? As a Titanic movie, I like it better. Titanic is a great romance movie, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't like it as a Titanic movie. It's just a romance that happens to take place on the Titanic. And has a lot of different levels to it, right? And depth to it, and touches on a lot of things. Whereas A Night to Remember is solely about the experience of the Titanic. And so that's where
the Titanic has depth to it. Such loaded language.
It's got some depth, all right.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, so well done. So well done. And also, it's fitting because they just, Billionaires just said that they wanted to go down to the Titanic again. A year after. Yeah, after the,
what happened last time?
So, yeah. So
it's like that graph of like the total number of people died per year from the Titanic, and it's like it spikes back in 1914 or whatever, and then there's another little tiny spike at 2024. I love it.
Yeah, and I just like, and again, this movie was based on the discussions with actual officers that survived, and a number of the people that survived, is where they collected a lot of this information and stuff like that, as well as like what was known and what, you know, the investigation showed. So it, like, to me, it was really, really well done. And gathered, you know, yeah, I really like it. It's definitely worth watching. It's an excellent movie. So anyways.
No, I agree. It is a great movie. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
And it's free on YouTube. So
okay. Nice.
I have the list. Yeah, I have the list already prepared this time. So I'm going to send both number 2 and number 3 to Tug at the same time. So he'll be able to
sending me number 2 all the time.
What can I say? I am the turd polisher, so.
Okay, Harold. I guess that means it's Dee's turn.
Okay. Yeah, and another, I'm going to go with another old movie too, because, you know, they need to be on here, but The Birds, 1963.
Okay. So, very similar to The Happening in style.
Yeah, that's kind of wrapping it up here, you know. So we got nature attacking man again here. You know, with, you know, of course this movie is about you know, whatever, San Francisco socialite stalking a lawyer with a set of lovebirds who ends up in the wrong place at the wrong time when the birds decide to well, turn against people and start killing them. So, and it gets worse and worse, and, you know, until all of a sudden it just stops. But, you know, it's a damn good movie. You know, lots of suspense and lots of, you know, questions and, you know, tense action scenes in there, and some fairly decent kind of special effects from back then, without showing too much gore or anything, you know. But, and the whole concept of, you know, the birds amassing and attacking people is, you know, quite disturbing when you think about how many birds there are out there. So
I don't endorse what Hitchcock did to her, but Tippi Hedren's performance in that movie is amazing. Like the way she shows terror is very palpable, because she was afraid for her life, because she was being attacked, because Alfred Hitchcock was a maniac. But still, like, it is a good movie. I've dismissed it in the past as one of Hitchcock's more hokey movies, but like, if you can accept the premise and move beyond that, it is a really good study in how something seemingly innocuous can suddenly become deeply traumatic in a moment. And I kind of respect that about it now. So yeah. And yeah, the special effects are great. They're far better than Birdemic.
Never seen that one.
I haven't.
Oh, you should absolutely watch Birdemic.
I just like how it starts out with, you know, the pet store, you know,
Oh,
lovebird
yeah.
scene. She's
Yeah,
smitten
yeah.
with him, and she decides she's gonna go stalk him real quick. You know, she's not
Bye,
really
Tracy.
stalking him. See you later. She's just trying to deliver the two lovebirds, but still, it's like that's a little creepy, don't you think? I mean, the lengths that she goes to try to deliver, goes to his house and then goes and finds him in the country, and you know, rents a boat to go across the lake. So she, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah, that wouldn't fly today. That you know, that idea of romance, like, you know, from back then, this just today would be like, why are you doing that? Why didn't you just bring it to my front door?
If you're still here in the universe galaxy, I just wanted to apologize. I didn't see your comment. We don't really do call-ins here. Sorry. And Danny, the Titan, the wreck of the Titan. That's. I hate to burst your bubble. That's an urban legend. It's not real. Didn't really happen. But you don't take my word for it. You can believe it if you want. It's fine. The movie has almost nothing to do with Daphne du Maurier's story. Okay. Sorry. I had to mention some comments. Continue.
That's about all I got on that. You know, just it's enjoyable movie. You know, of course it's yeah, a classic, and
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
So.
And it was his follow-up to Psycho, so
Mhm.
like it had a lot of expectations on its shoulders. Yeah.
Mhm.
Harold.
It's to me, I love it. And I have known many people with fear of birds, just because of the
Birds aren't real, man. They're not real.
I was about to say, you actually believe birds are real?
Well, now
was
it's
just
just the
discussing
white
this.
bird. Now
was
it's
just
just the
discussing
white birds are fake.
I was just discussing this with my son this morning. He asked me what my favorite conspiracy theory was, and I told him is the birds are not real conspiracy. He didn't believe me. He didn't believe that was a thing. And I'm like, look it up. Go for it. Go down that rabbit hole. I've taught him critical thinking. It's okay. He's not going to believe it.
Yeah, it's whew, good lordy. But no, and so I really yes, thank you, Vim. I really love the movie The Birds. Like the chances of birds like suddenly attacking us and what have you. But now that we have drones, who knows? Maybe
I don't know. I've been outside a few times where
Yeah.
those mockingbirds get a little fresh. You know what I'm saying?
When I worked at Disney,
You
I used
mocking
to
me?
tell the guests that those birds aren't real. That's why they don't poop on you. They're just robots, animatronics from Disney. You know, we just got the best Imagineers on the planet. That's just something I used to say all the time to people at Disney when I worked there.
You started the conspiracy.
So it's my fault. Yes,
You did it.
Yeah.
It's totally
That's what
my
it
fault. I started it back in the
A
late 90s.
generation ago. A generation
The birds aren't
ago.
real.
And now they learned that this is what Disney was doing. Now we found patient zero. We
Yep.
have finally discovered it here on the Unapologetic Geek. Patient zero of the bird conspiracy. But
Can
no,
you
like,
prove that the birds at Disneyland are not, in fact, animatronic?
Well, as redneck as I can get, apparently, I will shoot you. I'll take my gun out there and I'll just start shooting. But no, like, what are you doing? It's dinner. Disney bird. It's what's for dinner. But no, like,
They're a little crunchy,
you know-
you know.
To anyone listening from Disney, he's joking. It's a joke.
yes. Oh my God. Yes. Right. Oh, do not shut down this. It is absolutely a joke. And so, anyways, I just love that movie. I like something that for me would never be terrifying suddenly becomes very like concerning, like, and the way that it's, to me, it's Hitchcock, right? And to me, he can make anything like disturbing because he does it on a psychological level, right? He really, like, he takes fear and he, rather than like something like gore or what have you, like, yeah, I know, right, Vim? And you know, I've had enough troubles with Disney. I don't need any more. But and that we'll just leave it there. But no, like I just like the way that he's a master of psychological fear and thrillers. Like to me, I will not uh, um like speak for like I love what he does. I love that movie. Like I really do enjoy that movie. So sorry, I saw Danny's I saw Danny and you talking and out of the side of my
Sorry.
my eye, and it's just like
Trying to keep
it
it
was
off-
like no, I know. But I like no, I just saw like I was like, huh, oh, squirrel. Okay.
Squirrel,
Sorry.
squirrel.
Shiny. And so it
I don't know.
turned,
Birds can be pretty scary, though. I mean, have you ever been in like a flock of seagulls that are, and not the band, mind you,
I was about to say,
um,
I
Great
run all the
hair.
time.
that are like going after somebody with a sandwich or something, you know what I'm saying? That can be
Yes.
a little frightening. Or you go outside and like, the mockingbirds are attacking anything near their nest, and it's like the cat is like cowering under the table and stuff. It's like you go over there and the mockingbird pecks you on the head as it flies by. It's like, where's my tennis racket?
And full disclosure, he comes
Yeah.
from Canada, home of
Yeah.
the Canadian goose.
Yes, and then there's the Canadian geese. You get land piranhas.
They
Flying
do not
piranhas.
give a
Mm-mm.
word.
Mm.
Oh,
They don't
we
care.
have them up here. We have
Yeah.
them up here,
Yeah.
and like they are all like. I like when I take my girls to school, they're all like they will poop anywhere, and they're just like
Mhm.
they will run you off because they're
Oh,
like
yeah.
this is my territory, and they will
Yeah.
just come at you, right?
When they
And
get
so
their
it's-
wings out and they start running at you, it's
That beak,
pretty intimidating.
and there's like the fact that there is something that's like a corkscrew. I won't say what. but there's something that- it terrifies me, man. Like that is just not natural, and it's just like,
Mhm.
oh my god, this is just a terrifying beast. It's horrific. So
Yeah. Birds
everything
can be
about it is just unnatural.
they can be quite intimidating sometimes. So I can understand where the whole the whole concept of the movie came from, and
But I love them. I'm
the
bird watcher,
fear,
so I gotta watch them.
I did
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a
yeah,
friend
yeah.
we used to pull a lot of practical jokes on because he was afraid of ducks. So we would like put little rubber ducks in his bathtub and stuff. And we gave him a license plate that said Dr. Duck and stuff like that. Anyway,
So that's why I refuse to go to Oregon. Okay.
yeah, exactly. Ducks are special, man. They can fly, swim, and walk. Not many animals can do that.
Right.
Anyway,
All right.
I think we're done.
yeah,
Yes.
we're good.
Like I said, there will actually be a part 4. We're gonna do it. I still have a few on my list we have to get to. And yeah, that way Thrash can also come back and give us his picks. I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to talk about a few. I know there's one in particular I know we want to talk about. So yeah, that'll be in 2 weeks. In about 15 minutes, I'm gonna drop a remastered review of Them, the one with the ants, the giant ants. And then next week, really look forward to this one since we're talking about conspiracy theories. I'm doing a video on the Philadelphia Experiment, which is a movie about the famous conspiracy theory about the USS Eldridge, the destroyer escort that they were trying to mask from enemy radar, and something went wrong, and maybe it teleported, and people were fused to the hull, and all kinds of stuff. And then there's this movie that introduces time travel to it all. Who knows what really happened to the USS Eldridge? Turn in next week to find out. And I think that's about it. Go on my Patreon. I've been uploading gameplay videos with Harold and Linja, the Space Ninja, who was very cool. And that's about it. That's about all I got right now. Yeah. So Harold, plug.
I've got so I am now dropping videos every Tuesday and Friday. And I'm just going to do that throughout. I'm also going to be posting our 7 Days to Die videos So that's the new
That's the game I
show.
was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that we're going to be doing, and that's a zombie game. And then so I'll be posting those videos. And then my next, so I still have the Hatter Chat for forgiveness. So if anybody wants to do a video response to that, please leave the link, and then that way it draws viewers to your channel, and they can watch your video about it. And then I would love to, because my videos with the Hatter Chats are only going to give a brief discussion about it and maybe a couple thoughts, but I'm going to leave a lot open. And so please bring in your thoughts on these topics like forgiveness. And the next one I'm going to do is accountability, right? Because that's an important part of forgiveness and everything. And so, especially when it comes to self-forgiveness and things. And so that'll be the next thing. And so please, I want to, to me, it's a place to kind of grow and communicate and build community kind of where we all learn from one another. And so, and then, yeah, like the nostalgic pod blast, I'll be watching that. I love that.
Yeah, I didn't know Chance was going live today, but yeah, definitely check him out. He's great. And then also I've been doing some shorts, so check those out. And I'm also live streaming on Twitch, so I think I'm gonna live stream a little bit later today. Is Thrash doing his show today? I think he's still planning on doing a show tonight. I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Okay.
All
right.
But if not, it's because his mother's birthday. So
yeah. So I'll be also live on Twitch with my family. So
unless Damien has something. Mr. Pickles never showed.
Yeah, he didn't come. I don't know where he went. He was sitting on the back of the chair just before we all started, and then he ran away. So, but he's fickle, Mr. Pickle.
The fickle pickle.
Yeah.
The fickle pickle. Yeah. I like that.
Why is that funny? It just is.
No, like so the days that he doesn't show is just that it's the fickle pickle day.
Yeah.
I love that.
Got it.
I love that.
So until next time, this is the Unapologetic Geek telling you to never be ashamed of what you love, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Much love, y'all.